Good morning, students. Welcome to VAYU News Analysis of July 6th. Now, without getting late, let's get into today's newspaper articles from Hindu newspaper. So, the first article, what we are going to see today is, it is an article regarding the India needs a second home for Asiatic lions. So, this is very important article with respect to both prelims and the mains point of view. This is important. Why? Because here you will get innumerable number of bits with respect to prelims and mains, especially if we considered this Asiatic lions. Asiatic lions, what happens is that Asiatic lions, the number means the status of the Asiatic lions has been improved from critically endangered to endangered. Critically endangered to endangered, and he has given one example also, like it's just around a few dozen of population in the early 20th century. Now it is approximately 891 lions. So it's just like few dozen of population to around 900, means 891 lions. So the thing is that, so this is a successful project or one of the success that has been made by India in order to increase the population of the Asiatic lions. This is what you need to understand from this particular article. This is the main core of the article. But here, the thing that is being mentioned is that even though the population has increased, but this article is presenting that there is a persistent policy failure. There is a persistent policy failure, and this is not a successful project because of some systematic challenges that are present over here. This is what being identified in this particular article. Now let's see what are the challenges that have been mentioned according to this, even though the project is a successful project. Now let's see. The thing is that Indian government has started a project in the name Project Lion, and according to this project, the aim of the project is to increase the population of the Asiatic lions, and it has selected Gir National Park in Gujarat as the main park for implementing this project. Now, this is a successful project, but here there are some of the issues that are being faced. Let's say the issues that has been identified is that one is spread of epidemics, means in case of any kind of diseases, especially here the article has highlighted with an example of canine distemper virus. This canine distemper virus epidemic has been outbroke in the year 2018. Now, since this Gir National Park is the sole criteria or sole project for protecting the Asiatic lions, in the event of any kind of epidemics, then there is a scope for death of large number of lions. Okay, so death of large number of lions happens. So automatically it leads to decrease in the population. This is the first problem that has been identified. And here, since this Gir National Park is the sole national park that is being protecting the lions, one more issue that has been identified here is that in case of forest fires, and also any kind of natural disasters and forest fires, it is very difficult to protect the lions, and there is more possibility for decrease in the population. So here the thing that has been identified is that selection of Gir National Park for enhancing the status of the Asiatic lions is a good step. But here the main issue is that selecting only Gir National Park apart from diversifying to other national parks is an issue because of spread of epidemics and also in case of forest fires and any natural disasters. This is the issue that has been highlighted in this particular article. Now, here comes the main issue. In 2013, Supreme Court has given judgment in order to relocate the Asiatic lions into Kuno National Park. Relocate the Asiatic lions into Kuno National Park of MP. This is in Gujarat. Now, despite the judgment that has been given by the Supreme Court, this step has not been taken. Why? Because this national park has been selected for implementation of Project Cheetah. So, reintroduction of cheetah from Africa has been implemented in this particular Kuno National Park, and lions easily hunt and eat away the cheetahs. So, in order of having conflict between the two species, this Kuno National Park and especially relocation to this Kuno National Park has been dismissed. This is the first thing. And one more thing is that Gujarat is not ready. To share its Asiatic lions population relocation to other states. So here you can use a term called lack of cooperative federalism. Lack of cooperative federalism between the states is one of the reasons for systematic failure of this particular project. So one is introduction of Project Cheetah in Kuno, and another is from the Gujarat state government and its step to not to share the lions population to another state. These are the two issues. And now one more issue has been highlighted here, that is, if Kuno National Park has not been selected, why can't we select Barda sanctuary in the Gujarat itself? Why can't we select this particular thing? But even this Gujarat state government is not ready to relocate because of some of the issues. Let's say, for example, whenever two particular parks, national parks, are in contact with each other, then even though the epidemics has been spread in one particular national park, there is no use in transferring these particular species to another national park because those two are connected. So, since those two parks are very close to each other in the location wise, there is no importance of translocating the Asiatic lions from one park to another park. That is why this has been dropped. So, these are the systematic issues that has been highlighted in this particular article. One is Kuno National Park and another one is Barda Wildlife Sanctuary. So, this is the criteria you need to understand here. So, one is starting implementation of Project Lion in Gir. It's a success, but still there are some of the issues that have been identified. So, Supreme Court in 2013 has given the alternative judgment of translocating the lions to Kuno National Park. And one more thing is Barda Wildlife Sanctuary. So, these are the systematic issues which has been given in this particular article. This is what you need to understand from the gist of this particular article. Now, let's see in the exam point of view. The major thing is that in the prelims point of view, this article is very, very important. Why? Because whenever you got any kind of species in news, so any kind of species in news, what you must do for prelims point of view holds very, very good significance here. Okay, prelims and the mains point of view. First, let's see. In the prelims point of view, first of all, you need to understand the status. IUCN status. So, here, the status of lions has been improved from critically endangered to endangered. So, the status of lions is endangered now. And in the CITES framework, Asiatic lions are in Appendix 1. And these are protected under Wildlife Protection Act 1972. These are the basic things what you need to understand regarding the status. And recently, IUCN green status has been implemented, and according to IUCN green status, the present status of lions is that largely depleted. So this is what the status of the lions from the prelims point of view. And now from the prelims point of view, you need to have basic knowledge on with respect to national park like Gir. So this Gir National Park consists of deciduous forests and also savanna grasslands. Savanna grasslands. So this is the type of vegetation. This is the type of vegetation in this particular national park. And here the community who are living are Maldaris. So especially for the anthropological students, this Maldaris tribe who are living in Gir National Park is very, very important, and they live in particular type of settlements called Nessas. Okay, this is what you need to understand. The park, type of vegetation and its location. It is located in Saurashtra region of Gujarat, and type of vegetation here and the community that is being living here and their settlements. Now, along with this, you need to understand rivers. The rivers that are flowing here, there are 7 rivers that are flowing here. Let's say for example, Hiran, etc. So you no need to remember here rivers, but you can remember there are 7 rivers flowing through this. And apart from this, the other species that are being protected here is, the main species that are protected here is vulture. So almost 6 out of 9 vulture species are protected here. So, along with the Asiatic lions, this Gir National Park is also home to the vultures. Okay, so this is what you need to understand from this particular thing. And now, in the mains point of view, you need to understand like the success of this particular step, along with that issues that are being present. So even though this is success, what are the systematic issues that are present? And you need to have knowledge on Supreme Court judgments and also alternative home to it. Alternative home to the lines. Along with that, you can mention with solutions. So, in solutions, you can add the best case studies. Let's say, implementation of protection of the rhinos. In the same way, Assam government has started the rhino relocation project in the eve of this particular issue. So, this rhino implementation project must be followed in order to protect the lions. So, this is the case study which you can use for the best practices. Okay, so this is what you need to understand from the prelims and the mains point of view. In the prelims point of view, you need to be aware of the status of all these Asiatic lion and also the park and also the possible home for these Asiatic lions, and especially with respect to Gir National Park, what are the type of vegetation, the community that is being living in there, and also rivers, and also along with lions, what are the other species that are being protected. These things you need to remember in the prelims point of view. And in the mains point of view, the content which has been given in the issue should be remembered. Okay, this is what you need to learn from this particular article. Now here, let's see, from success to security. Okay, so the thing is that India has already achieved success in this project. Now the thing is, even though we have achieved success in this project, is there capability for near India in order to provide security to those kind of species? So you can use the word called from success to security. In conclusion, you can use this particular sentence called India needs to focus and move from the success strategy to security strategy. This is what you need to understand this article from prelims, mains, and that particular thing which I have highlighted in the greening for the conclusion. Okay, now let's move on to next article. Now, this article is also regarding the one more species, that is production of milk. Production of milk is getting decreased, especially in the Indo-Gangetic region. Why the production of milk has been decreased? This is the one of the reason. So here the main issue that has been highlighted, and before going to that you need to understand is that India is world's largest milk producer. India is world's largest milk producer and also one of the largest milk consumer among the world. So India has very good history in this dairy industry. Now the thing is that the production of milk or the yield of milk is getting reduced, especially from the main belt of Indo-Gangetic plains and the states of north, especially like Haryana, etc. Now you need to understand what is the reason for this. The main reason that has been highlighted here is the climate change. So climate change is the main reason for decrease of the milk yield among the animals. The first and foremost thing what they are mentioning is that heat stress. Heat stress, where the maximum amount of the energy that the animal is having is being turned in order to protect from the heat stress than in production of the milk. So this heat stress and increase of the high temperature like beyond 38 degrees Celsius is one of the first and foremost factor causing the reduction in the milk yield. Along with that, high humidity is the one more factor that has been highlighted in this particular article. Now, even though this is having, there are some of the variations. Let's say, for example, especially buffaloes which are black in color. So they are mostly affected because of the heat stress, because of inability to reflect the maximum amount of the heat that their body is getting accumulated to. This is the first issue. And also these buffaloes has very low number of sweat glands. Low number of sweat glands. This is the first and foremost thing where buffaloes are in the high danger. And now, along with the buffaloes, the breeds which has been imported, which are not indigenous breeds, are also at the high risk of extinction and high risk of danger. But whereas the indigenous breeds, means the breeds that are local to India, are showing the resistance to these particular climate change to some extent. So this is how, if these are the factors for causing reduction of milk yield, these are the individual variations. So apart from the factors, there are individual variations in one species to another species. Now, this is what being identified in this article. Now, what value addition we can do? Here, what we should learn from this particular article, or what extra we can add from this article, is that what are the other factors? So, along with these two factors, that is climate change as a factor, what are the other factors that are causing the decrease in milk yield? The first and foremost factor that is regarding here is that decrease in the production of fodder, which is major food for these animals. And now along with these things, diseases or the epidemics that has been occurring to this, let's say for example, foot and mouth disease is one of the dangerous disease that has been happened, which has killed the large number of species. Now along with this, there are other challenges like because of the urbanization and industrialization, the lands or the areas where grass is available are being converted into urban areas and houses constructions, where the lack of food is also one of the problem. Now one more thing what we have mentioned here is that since in India many number of farmers are marginal farmers, and where they are majority of the farmers, they hold the land between 1 to 3 acres. So there is a lack or shortage of sufficient steps that can be taken in order to protect these particular species efficiently because of the marginal farmers issue and their low economic status This is what are the other factors what we need to remember from this particular article. And along with that, artificial insemination has not been occurring up to the mark. So this is what is being given in this particular article, what we should add as the value addition to this particular article. So these are the other factors which are responsible for the decrease in the milk yield. Now, from the prelims point of view. So, after understanding this particular article, how can we relate this article from the prelims and the mains point of view? The first and foremost thing is that you need to have knowledge on some of the missions like National Gokul Mission. Okay, so you need to have basic knowledge on these particular mission, and also you need to be aware of the percentage, whether the species are increasing or decreasing, and with respect to IR, you need to understand rank of India as a top milk producer, like how it is varying from years. And along with India, there are other countries like New Zealand, where whenever a pact has been made with the New Zealand, this dairy industry is being especially protected. Okay, so these are the things what you need to study from the prelims point of view. And in the mains point of view, you just need to highlight or understand the issues that are major reason for decrease in the milk production. Along with that, you can add some of the solutions here. Let's say for example, you can mention about increase in the artificial insemination. So there is more scope for protection of this. And along with that, the other solutions what we can do is that especially having shelters to these animals, especially in the summer seasons, in order to protect them. And also extra fund must be released, and also veterinary care must be improved in order to protect from these kind of disease called foot and mouth disease. Okay, and also the issue of having proper fodder and also improving the quality of fodder must be highlighted. So this is what you need to understand from this particular article. Okay, from prelims and the mains point of view. Now see, here one more word I have highlighted here with the green highlight, that is climate smart dairy strategy. So since India is having one of the largest dairy sector among the world, what we need to have is proper protection of the dairy sector. So you can use the word called climate smart dairy strategy. Okay, so that is the word from this article which you can highlight in the mains point of view. And you can also use this particular word called nosedived. So instead of using the word called increase, decrease, change and all these things, you can use the newspaper language called nosedived. Okay, so these are the two words which you can use. The one is for conclusion and another is for like normal word usage in the mains answer writing. Now let's get into next article. Now, the next article here is discussing about India and Japan relationships. As we have seen in the recently 2 days back newspaper, what happened is that the recent visit of Japan Prime Minister to India, where both the countries agreed to cooperate on maritime relationships. So, both the countries agreed to cooperate on the maritime relationships. This article holds very significance. Why? Because see, before going to read this particular article, you need to have the historical relationships between India and Japan, and that I have explained clearly in the article on the newspaper analysis 2 days back. Just see that thing before going to navigate into this particular article. So here, the issue that has been highlighted is that there is a group called Quad, where India, USA, Australia and Japan are the members. The recent step that has been taken by US, where the significance of Quad is getting reduced. That significance of Quad is getting reduced, and along with that, the more interest of USA on this concept or G2 grouping, where China and USA are acting as the world powers. And along with that, USA has been giving less importance to Indo-Pacific strategy. Indo-Pacific strategy, where USA is giving less importance to this particular article. Now, the main issue what has been highlighted here is that even though the relationships that are being maintained by the US is being tilting, and along with that, there is less focus on targeting the China. Before, China is being targeted highlightly, and now this concept of China has been low target. Now the thing is that even though USA has reduced the importance of this Indo-Pacific strategy, now India and Japan are maintaining good steps and also taking good innovatives regarding the Indo-Pacific strategy. This is what is being highlighted in this particular article, where with respect to Indo-Pacific strategy, both the countries agreed on common terms and also common boundaries. Along with that, these two countries are playing lead roles in the development of this Indo-Pacific strategy, and recently both the countries have agreed in order to cooperate in the maritime industry in order to build naval platforms. Okay, so this is what is given, I highlighted in this particular article. Now, one more issue that has been highlighted in this particular article is that how the view of China or how the act of China is concerned with respect to South China Sea. Okay, South China Sea, where there are issues along with South China Sea and East China Sea. There are issues of China with respect to some of the countries like Philippines. Okay, and also world is having different opinion with respect to recognition of Taiwan as separate country or as part of the China. In this perspective, recognition of China, of Taiwan, both India and Japan is having the unilateral word, means they both agreed on the single word on recognizing this Taiwan issue. Now here, this is what you need to understand. And along with that, both the countries have agreed for the relationship in development of the port connecting both Japan and also India. So this is what have been highlighted in this particular article. So where you can use this particular article. Okay. So here, this article, in the prelims point of view, what you need to study, and in the mains point of view, what you need to study. So in the prelims point of view, you need to understand about the how these issues in South China Sea and also East China Sea, and what are various islands that are in dispute. Let's say Spratly Islands. These are the islands that are in issue between China and the Philippines, and along with the places that are in dispute with respect to China and Japan. And also make a list of countries bordering South China Sea and East China Sea and China, Japan. This is what you need to understand from this particular article in the prelims point of view. Now, in the mains point of view, what you need to understand is that the nature of changing world, how the world is being changed and how the priorities of USA has been changed, and what are the impacts of that particular thing on India. Now, because of reduction of significance of Quad and reduction of significance of Indo-Pacific strategy, how it is being impacted on India. This is the thing what you need to understand and analyze from the mains point of view. And also need to be aware of some of the groupings of the world. Okay. Now, here in the prelims point of view, add one more thing, the exercises between India and Japan. As I already told you that day, there are some of the exercises like with respect to army, there is Dharma Guardian, and with respect to airbase, we have Veer Guardian, and with respect to Navy, we have GMEX. So in the prelims point of view, you also need to have this particular exercises. So this is from the prelims and the mains point of view from this particular article. Now let's get into next article. Okay. Now the next article for today is, even though there is supply chain disruption that has been happened in the Strait of Hormuz, India is efficiently, like India has managed the crisis very efficiently. So this article is mentioning about how India has managed the lack or the disruption of the supply chains, even though in a like highly affected world. This is what has been highlighted in this particular article. Now, this article is especially, you must use the example or the approach followed by India, even though in times of the distress of the world. So this is what you need to understand from this particular article. Now let's get into this article. Now, the main issue, the main thing what has been highlighted is that India almost imports like around 90% of the world crude oil imports are being imported, and 1/5 of these imports are being carried via Strait of Hormuz. So, out of these imports, 1/5 of imports has been from via Strait of Hormuz. Now, because of the disruptions, not only the oil supply that has been affected, along with that, there are other things, let's say the Indian crew that are working over there. So, the Indian crew, those are working over there, and along with the seafarers who are present over that thing. Now, Indian government has responsibility in order to protect not only the goods that has been transmitted over that, but also with respect to these humans, Indian crew and the seafarers. That is the issue. So here India has followed an approach called whole of government approach. Whole government approach, where instead of focusing on one particular thing, how we have been diverted into other things. Let's say, for example, here they are mentioning about how India has been diversified its transport sector, means passage from Strait of Hormuz to other straits, and also how India has diversified its import not from the Middle East more and to other countries, how the diversification to other sources has been happened, and along with that how India has been given importance from LPG to piped natural gas. So this is one of the strategic thing what India do in times of the need. So instead of depending upon the other countries and having of stress on the particular country, how India has been diversified, whether it's sources or also the countries from where it has been importing the material. So this is how you can mention. And also this article also highlights how RBI has taken effective steps in order to control inflation with respect to this particular regard. So this is what you need to understand from this particular article. Especially, you can use this as a case study. You can use this as a case study in your GS2 and GS3, how the resilience of India has been happened even in the times of the distress like this. So this is what you need to understand from this article. Now, let's aggregate in the prelims and the mains point of view. So, in the prelims point of view, what you need to understand from this article is that, okay, so in the prelims point of view, what you need to understand from this particular article is that what are the main sources from where India is importing this particular LNG, LPG, etc. And now, to what countries it has been diversified. Let's say, for example, there will be some bits where they ask that, let's say, for example, India imports around 60% of LPG from Oman. Let's say this statement has been given. So, you need to understand or highlight whether this is right statement or wrong statement. So, just have basic knowledge on the percentages of import from which countries. Now, along with this, what you need to understand is that you need to understand the difference between LNG, LPG and PNG, piped natural gas. This is very, very, very important from the prelims point of view. Like which gas is lighter, which contains the composition of butane, all these things. These things must be very, very important. And along with this, you need to have basic ideology on other things like Strait of Hormuz and what are the countries that is being surrounded by this strait, and what are the other straits where India has been diversed, and what are the countries that are being surrounded by those particular straits. So this is what the thing you need to understand in the prelims point of view. And now in the mains point of view, you can use this as a case study, like how India has been faced disruptions, especially in the case of these discussions with respect to stress in the world. So you can use it as a case study. So this is what you need to understand from this particular point of view in the prelims and the mains point of view. Okay. Now, okay. So these are the 4 articles for today's class, which holds very, very important significance. So try to understand each and every article from both the prelims and the mains point of view. Let's meet in the next class. If you like this video, please like, share, comment and subscribe to VAYU IAS Academy. Thank you.